welcome to Feedback for the week of February 14th. We have a very special feedback for you. We don't have the usual G4 Flotsam. We have some very special guests. We have some G4 Flotsam, myself included. So we have Tim Schafer. Now, you have a game that just came out. It's called Happy Action Theater.
Yes.
It's a Microsoft Kinect game. We'll talk about that in a second, but welcome. We have Mr. Steven Johnson.
Hi, everybody. I'm the luckiest
your-
guy in the world right now.
What's your game? What
Because
game
I'm
do you
getting
have?
under the table. I'm not going to tell you
Exactly.
which one of these guys is doing it, though. And action. Sorry.
Both.
Here we go.
It is going to be a great feedback. Okay. And then we have Mr.
No,
David
we're
Jaffe.
editing these things, right? This is running live? Oh.
This not being edited.
All right, what's up?
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
I'm just waiting to see which direction this thing is headed. And then
I think we've seen. We have seen. You have a game that's actually out on February 14th, so it has
Absolutely,
just
yes.
come out,
Yes.
and it's called
It's called Twisted Metal. It comes
Yes.
out on February 14th today, I think, or this week.
This
I don't
week,
know.
week
This
of.
Yep. It's, I'm drunk, so
Sweet.
fair enough. Yeah,
Me too.
Twisted Metal.
from
Super
the
proud of it.
celebration,
Super
from the rap
excited.
party.
Okay, so we'll.
Our games are done, and we're now announcing our collaboration.
So
on
now-
our
Oh,
games
wouldn't that be
we're doing
fun?
together.
If we, what would we do? Oh my God, what would we do? That'd be so cool.
Twisted.
No, I would want to go back and I would want to learn from you and do an adventure game. That's what I would want to do. I would. No, I would. I would want to do an iPad kind of thing and do like straight up, point and click and kind of. That'd be
Because you're like,
awesome.
I'm sick of all this money.
Can I
That's right. Fair
can I
enough.
speak for the whole game community and say, please get together and make a game? That would be
That
the
would be awesome.
coolest thing.
Right now.
I mean,
Right
right,
now.
now.
Right
Go,
now.
like,
You
we
have.
room
We have
over
an
there.
hour. I mean, come on,
They
guys.
ask-
A little game jam. I can't do shit without programmers and artists. I mean, I'm just yeah. You don't still program though, right?
It's like a foreign language. Which I can't. No, I can't do it.
Right. So you're not on the programming staff of your games.
I mean, I studied like programming in college, but
Right.
I think if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right. Okay.
I
Okay.
think that's what my programmers always tell me. Don't do it
Don't touch
anymore.
the
I
keyboard.
did too.
I've seen your code.
And now
don't
it's
do it.
gibberish.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah. Okay, so maybe we talk just for a few minutes about everybody's game, including yours. I'm very excited to hear more about it.
Right.
And then we can answer some of these questions from the viewers. I know we got tons and tons of questions for you guys. So,
Exciting.
Okay, so let's start with Happy Action Theater.
Double Fine Happy Action Theater.
Double Fine Happy
That
Action
wasn't
Theater.
easy. We got our name in there.
I like it.
It was almost Tim Schafer's Double Fine Happy Action. It wasn't, no. It was Happy Action Theater. It's a Kinect game. You can play it.
Yeah, do it.
Have you
Here,
seen
I
it
can
yet?
do
I'm
it.
trying to remember the time travel aspect about whether or not you've seen this game or not.
In the time travel of television, yes, I have seen it. Because I
So,
just saw it a few minutes ago.
We've been messing around with Kinect at Double Fine and making Kinect games and playing Kinect games. And even though it's like, I think Kinect takes down a whole bunch of barriers, like you don't have to figure out how to use a controller to play a game. There's still a lot more barriers of just signing in and, touching buttons on the screen and stuff that some people can't figure out. Like my 2.5-year-old daughter couldn't, play games with me. And I thinking about the camera and how high tech it was, I was like, there's got to be a way that this can just react to anything that's going on in the room and not get broken by chaotic things happening, but actually thrive on the chaos of a birthday party full of 2-year-olds or a dorm room full of drunken students or whatever, or Bigfoot, whatever. And that's what Happy Action Theater is. It just you can't. There's no way to fail at it. It's just playing with things and their activities like a toy.
And what do you think?
Take that.
I took that.
Yeah.
What do you think that are some of the limitations? I guess you touched on it a little bit, but are there things that you wish that it did for your next game or anything like that?
Are you asking me already what's wrong with my game?
No, but I'm asking you. I'm basically asking you what's wrong with Kinect. No, I'm just kidding.
No, nothing.
No, but I'm saying like,
And-
what kind of limitations, did you find when you were making the game?
Well, I mean, it's a fancy piece of hardware, but it still is like if you walk in front of somebody, you lose track of somebody. Somebody goes off, the screen. I think even like that Disneyland game, my daughter loves playing that game, but my nephew was playing it, and he walked off the screen and came back on, and he was a girl, and it made him.
Oh my
He was
kids!
so
That happened to my kids too.
He was
They
so
hated
embarrassed.
it.
He went and sat on the couch and put his head in his hands.
That part didn't happen to my kids, but they hated it. They walked off, and they're little girls, and they came back and they, I don't want to be this boy.
But knowing having
Your
made a
kids
Kinect
have
game,
dirty
like how hard
mouths.
that is to like
My
track
kids.
people, and you can't really guess what So I feel for their pain, and that's why we wanted to make a game where it just didn't matter. There was nothing that fine tuned that would matter. So there's no way to break it.
And so you can get it. You can download it now for 800 Microsoft points, which
Yeah.
I think is a deal.
Almost like nothing. 2 of these cups of coffee, really.
points aren't money. They're points.
Yeah.
They're not. Yeah, it's nothing.
Money. You buy them with money.
Okay, fine.
Pennies a day.
Just pennies a day.
Like
Pennies a
NPR.
day.
You can feed a child starving in Africa, or 800 Microsoft
I mean,
points.
the choice is clear. I think we all agree.
Or you can make like a new mini game that you can download where you're feeding the child in Africa by shoving the cake and the food into them. What? This is good creative juices I'm swimming in. How often do I get to hang out with Tim Schafer? So I'm taking in as much as I can.
He just looks at me and thinks about starving African children.
Wow.
My face.
I think that
It's the
game was
flies
called
all
Fat
around me.
Princess.
That's right. Yes.
All right, let's talk a little Twisted Metal. Are you excited, happy, relieved, anxious that it's out?
No, I'm not anxious. I'm extremely I'm proud. I think it's the best one we've ever made. I think it's one of those things where Sony was great in that we got to really make the game that we wanted. And I think there are certain, I don't know, there are certain scenarios where you could see someone saying, well, yeah, you can make a Twisted Metal, but you make the single player like Grand Theft Auto, and you've got to make the multiplayer like this, and all those are great, would be great examples. But Sony was really like, no, make a vehicle combat game and sort of go back to the well that inspired you with things like Mad Max and things like that. And so, yeah, I think the team did an amazing job, and I'm proud of the design. And I don't know, I mean, it's out this week, so it's one of those things where when you release a game that you have issues with, it's a crappy feeling. But when you release a game that you're proud of and it's what you wanted to make, within reason, you never get everything you want. Then it's like, you hope the gaming gods smile on you and you make some money and the team does well and the publisher that funded it does well. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm grateful we got to make this game, and hopefully Twisted Metal fans will dig it.
No, I was also really impressed by the talents that each car have and how you can actually make a team-based combat game with vehicles.
Yeah, that's good. You were impressed by that.
I was.
Yeah.
See, now you're supposed to say yes.
No, well, listen,
I enjoy that
like,
one
yeah,
of the
you
cars
were.
is a healer, and
well, listen, the cars are like fighting characters. Honestly,
So you were
that's
impressed with her playing. I was impressed by your playing.
I'm impressed by your playing, Morgan. This is like Cyrano. I need all the help I can get. Dude. Give me something else. Give me something else.
was very
In
good at
fact,
Happy Action
let's
Theater,
get back to Twisted Metal. But
All
first,
right.
I want Tim's words in my mouth. Help me flirt with Morgan Webb successfully, and go.
Is that what we're trying to do? Those
Is that what
headphones
we're
are
trying to do?
are really nice looking.
Those headphones are really nicely. Hey,
you.
eyes over here, sweetheart. We're talking. All right, he doesn't
Oh,
exist.
okay.
He's behind the shrub.
well, I want my compliment then.
I
He-
just
he
gave
said
it
I
to
had
you.
nice.
I just gave it to you.
nice
He
headphones.
said, yeah, nice headphones.
Girls love
Girl-
that. Nice headphones.
Girls love that.
Girls
No,
love
don't
being
say that part.
complimented
That's
on
what I
their
need to know.
footwear.
How do I know?
Footwear.
No one
Girls
has
love
played
that.
my game
Let me see your
Nice
like
shoes.
you played
Let's
it,
see your
Morgan.
shoes. Ooh, I like that.
That's good.
Let's see your shoes. Ooh, those are pretty cool shoes.
How did that come up?
She said that's what girls like.
Girls appreciate if a guy compliments them on an item of clothing that they're wearing or a pair of shoes, but you can't compliment them on an item of clothing that is too sexy, like if they're wearing like a sexy top, because then if you compliment them on that,
means you're
then
looking?
you're being sexist or misogynist.
Are
or
you
whatever.
being sarcastic or that's
No,
true?
honestly.
But don't you, if you get too much into like talking about their outfit, aren't you becoming just their best friend?
No, it's an
Yeah,
opener.
that's a good
It's,
point.
Shopping
it's
friend?
an opener.
Morgan, I like your hat.
No, that's when you become the shopping friend.
Can I have your hat? I like your hat. That hat is-
Anyway,
No, you do it once and then that's your opener.
that's a
And
nice,
then you move on to other things like, can I buy you a drink? And anyway.
I'm so glad I'm married. I just have these memories of being single. I'm like, oh god, that was terrible. 'Cause I could never think, okay, nice hat. That's a really sexy hat. It's so tight. Is that like one of those?
like how-
That's what you'd
like-
say, right?
Yeah,
That's
you
such
would
a revealing
score.
hat.
That's
I
amazing.
can see all your skull.
I like how Minnie Mouse is on it. What do you mean you're going to go tell your mom? No, come back.
Jesus.
David Jaffe taking it down every time.
No, but listen, though, I appreciate that you said that because honestly, though, we really did. I mean, we've always looked at Twisted Metal as a sport, as a fighting game, and yeah, the team worked tirelessly to really differentiate these vehicles beyond just sort of the surface of hit points and handling and things like that. And it really is. There's just a sort of a minutia of sort of variables that we were able to tune and tweak and create for the different characters, whether it's the tow truck, junkyard dog, or kamikaze or Crimson Fury, and really make them feel like unique characters. And that was probably the most fun we had on the game was when we started tuning all those knobs, really seeing characteristics of a vehicle, come out and seeing how people chose different ones based on the modes and the play style they had. It was great. So I appreciate you noticing that. That's pretty cool.
That is a good opener. I think you're in.
Would you like to
Take that.
I
I get that from Tim
you got so
Schafer.
serious there. I
He's like,
hope you
"Take
don't
that."
think they're going to edit out all the pedophile jokes, though. Like, they'll just use the serious
Who
stuff.
did a pedophile joke?
Oh, see, he's...
What? He already forgot?
I never said a pedophile joke.
What? You did like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, you thought that? Oh, that says more about you, my friend. That was not a pedophile joke.
I would have to say everybody in here thought that was a pedophile joke. Everybody in here, right?
Y'all
Everybody.
perverts up in this mother house. Yeah.
I'm gonna stop pretending to hide my soda because it's getting in the way.
I think the preferred term at G4 is
Yes.
monkey farter.
Monkey fart.
Not,
It is.
Not what you said.
It is. Okay, would you like to ask the first viewer question?
I would love to ask the first viewer question. I think it's a really interesting one. It's from
Olivia Munn, what?
it's
No.
What? Did I hear that?
it's from Olivia. No. This doesn't have a reader listed here, but I'm going to read it anyway because I think it's a brilliant question. Look back to when you were 12 years old. Think back to it. What would a 12-year-old you think about you now?
Awesome. I actually have thought that to myself sometimes, like when times are tough and like things are like you're having a bad time at the company or something like that, or you think if things are not working out. I think, okay, I got to remember that. Relatively speaking, if I actually could see what I was doing right now when I was 12, I would think this is really awesome. You know what I mean? Like as bad as it gets, I run a video game company. I would think that was really fun when I was 12. Little did I know.
What did you want to do when you were 12? Did you want to make games at 12, or did you?
Well, we were playing. Me and my friends were always playing games, but it really never occurred to me that we could make them. Like I remember we'd make them our own, like on the Atari 800 or whatever. But I thought that the apparatus that made games was some huge corporation that somehow I thought Atari was like this like just the top scientists, and they were all just this teams, and there were like 100 people making these things. And there's no way we could break into it. And little did I know it was like people like just a little older than me or maybe my age that were making games, and they're, not that different than us.
So what did you want to do at 12?
At 12?
Yeah.
I always I liked writing. Like I created writing. Thought I'd do right.
That's why I asked, because I assumed it was something.
What did you
creative.
want to do when you were 12?
I wanted to make movies.
You wanted to crash your car into things?
No. I wanted to.
Did you make movies?
I did. They were not very good.
Well, but at that time it was harder to. You didn't have editing tools.
You
know what I mean?
did, but it was little.
Did you
tape
use Super 8?
and-
Did you use Super 8
man,
movies?
when Super
Awesome.
8.
Yeah.
I watched Super 8, and as a movie, as a standalone film, it's solid, it's fine. But as sort of a peek into my childhood, like holy cow, my bedroom looked like that director's bedroom, and you're sitting there scratching laser beams with a safety pin on the back of the movie film to get lasers, and it was but you're right. Today you have so many tools that are inexpensive. It's
Kids
pretty
today,
amazing.
and the Legos come pre-made. You got to make the Legos.
And what were some films that you were really inspired by?
Raiders: The Lost Ark was the one that really made me go, okay, that's a life I want to be involved in, and creativity in some capacity.
I thought you were going to say going into Incan tombs.
Yeah, but I did that. I did want that as well, but that's that I didn't take that seriously. I always thought I'd get really rich making movies, and then I'd have like this little adventure company on the side. But but yeah, I mean, Raiders was huge, and Empire, E.T., all this, a lot of the Spielberg stuff, Zemeckis' stuff, Back to the Future, stuff like that. I just all the the pop 80. I was never a big cinemaphile, right? I wasn't like, oh, it's Raging Bull, or it's Robert Altman. I was
You were a
more
12-year-old Scorsese fan.
There were some though, but I was very much into the pop, top 10 movies and stuff like that.
The movies that like made me really want to get into computers in any way were like remember War Games?
Oh my
and
god!
Tron.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they made it seem like the world inside the computer was so magic that actually that hacking into like calling up your school to change your grades, like it was like this magical.
It was.
Woo, they go in and there'd be this tank that was like made of lines and it was coming down the hallway and
I can hack into the mainframe right from
Right
this.
there.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys know because I'm kind of a good hacker.
Your
I'm
middle
just
your middle
saying.
name is anonymous,
The
right?
guy, and what's his name's Room in War Games?
Oh, David Lightman,
Matthew
yeah,
Broderick.
yeah.
He had a lock on his door and he had a girlfriend who had a scooter.
And who thought
And
he
they
was
could go
cool?
wherever they
too.
wanted in town, and they could lock his door, and then he could call his school and change his grades.
Yeah. And she thought he was cool because he could do that. That was the cool part. That
You
was
just see
the
his room
fantasy
and go
part.
like, ew.
It's science fiction because it's about like hacking into a missile silo. No, because the girl likes the guy who programs the computer. Oh,
And it's Altair 20 or whatever that number that I probably said that wrong. There's gonna be somebody like that was 8080.
right. I'm sure there will.
I have to look that up on my phone right now so I can look smart.
All right. So what went wrong with your movie making career?
Truthfully, honestly, nothing went wrong so much as I had gotten out of college and I needed a job, and I'd done stuff, right? I'd sold television shows and stuff, and they'd never gotten to, made, but
You sold television shows.
yeah, it's
wrote-
actually
you're
one
like
of
a-
what's that?
What do they call that? You were doing the writing, or you're like a showrunner?
Well, no, they never went into production, but I'd go to I sold one to Universal Family Entertainment. I sold one to New Line Television before they got bought and they lost their TV division. And one of them was actually kind of, interesting, where it was basically kind of like LARPing, where Universal bought it. And it was the coolest day of my life. We got to go onto the back. Well, basically, the show was, it was every week you'd take like 5 contestants and you'd put them into one of the locations in the back lot, and you dress it, and you'd have like a recurring cast of characters, kind of like American Gladiators. But it wasn't a game show. It was like, okay, this is the story this week. You're in Nazi Germany. It's 1942. You've got to rescue this operative. And it was kind of about role-playing the characters and actual physical sort of challenges that were tied into the story. So it wasn't like a
Not
lot
throwing
of
sleep spells on each other.
Right. I've been wanting to do that as a reality
Yeah.
show at G4 for ages. You guys should do a LARPing reality show. It would be awesome. But point being is this. Anyway, but it was kind of cool though. So we got to go. They said, okay, well, we've optioned the show. Come on into Universal and just kind of, walk the back lot. Total freedom to hang out on the back lot all day long and kind of, generate ideas. And to walk around, it was with my best friend and my brother, and we walked around all day, and you walked anywhere you wanted. And to be an adult who had grown up loving movies, sort of being on those sound stages and being on the back lot and having total freedom, that was amazing. So, but what went wrong was they weren't very good. I needed a job. Video games allowed me to sort of express myself and work with the team to express myself and their ideas in a creative way that was as satisfying as movies. And frankly, I found that I was better at it than my storytelling. And so every now and then I kick around, and I think we know similar people and who kind of live in the world of agenting and things like that. And it's funny, I will always say to them, because we'll talk and stuff. I'll say, dude, Schafer should be making cartoons, man.
Like he should get out of games.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
not at all. Are you kidding me? No. But when I look at something like Psychonauts, though, I'm like, dude, that would make an awesome. Because my kids and your kids are around the same age now.
Except for games are cooler. That's really people often say, oh, you should make a movie out of that game, and I'm like, that's like saying if you finish a sculpture, like you should do a painting of that sculpture. You should,
it's cooler.
Is that pretentious that I brought up art like that? Like,
No, I was with
I'm
you.
saying if you did a fine sculpture. Yeah.
I'm just saying that I look at the world of Psychonauts. I'm like, dude, that should be like a Disney Channel. And just keep, because there's so many stories you could probably tell in that world that it would just be awesome. So I'm not saying don't do it as games. I'm just saying it'd be cool to branch out, do more.
Film is dead.
Film is dead.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Games are the future.
I kind of agree with that, but nobody else seems to. But I'm glad I'm in a room with people who agree with me.
I just know film people are going to be watching this. I can say that. Film is dead.
I watch a movie or a TV show and I'm like, this is fine, but I would so much rather be playing a game and interacting with it.
Except for like after midnight. Like after sometimes I'm playing a game and it's really late. I'm like, okay, I really go to sleep. Actually, I think I have enough energy. I can reach for the remote. Now I can watch TV. I'm too tired to play a game.
Ooh, Nanny McPhee's on. What? I will tell you though that idea of, I think we are at that awkward age, because you're right. I think you can look at movies now and every year there's a handful of movies that blow you away. So or television, especially right now, is obviously an amazing time. But there is kind of a formula to it now that I think is very transparent that hurts the viewing experience. But I don't think games are where they need to be yet to sort of pick up the baton when it comes to narrative and storytelling and things like that. And so I find myself in that kind of gray area where it's like, I get what you're saying about movies and TV sometimes, but it's not like I'll go and play a video game and go, oh, I feel that itch of wanting a great story told to me or experiencing a great story. I don't think that's there either.
Well, the language,
Yeah.
I think the language of video games is still being figured out, and we've watched it sort of be discovered and invented over the past 10 years, 15 years now. And it is amazing. But I think people do want short form stories, and that's when a movie is going to be better.
I want short form games.
But how
also,
short? I mean,
If somebody said to me, hey, you can play Batman Arkham City and it's going to cost you $9 like a movie ticket, and it's designed to be a 4-hour experience or a 3-hour experience, I would love that. I was saying earlier, Tim and I were on the a panel this year about sort of picking the best game direction, and it was insane. I mean, I don't think I'm revealing too much, but in terms of the amount of how challenging it was to get everybody to play all those games, because and I was just looking at Tarantino just released his like top 11 movies of the year and then his follow-up, and I'm just like, I wish that we had the time. I wish that, I think honestly, in a lot of ways, game length is a relic of kind of the retail model that's slowly dying. And I don't think in 10 years this will be an issue. Do I think there should be huge epic games like Skyrim? Absolutely. But I also think those should be more of the exception, like a really big expensive miniseries every couple, one or two a year versus most games I'd love to finish in 3 or 4 hours. I don't know if you feel the same way. Maybe it's age because we're getting older.
And also, I wasn't really saying, games can't replace, they don't cover the same broad spectrum of like emotions that movies do either, really. Movies touch on parts of life that games still have never dared to go to, like normal life,
Why do you think that is?
It's not proven to be successful. Games are mostly the equivalent of like a summer action blockbuster movie, right? Mostly, like and that's not bad. And summer blockbuster action movies are great. It's just that there are a lot more movies. There's a movie that your parents can go to, and that kids can go to, and that your grandma can go to, and that you would go to, depending on what mood you're in. There's a movie you'll go to when you're on a date. There's a movie you'll go to when you want to laugh. But games don't really have that. There's not really a movie there's not that many games you go. There's no romantic comedies and all that stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons that they are kind of limited, is that they satisfy one kind of narrow part of your entertainment needs.
And I because I've been thinking about this a lot. Because as I think about sort of what I might want to do next, I'm always thinking about, well, do I want to work with everybody on doing a narrative game and a story game? And it is I think part of it is a lot of people will hear this, and I see this a lot in comments on internet and stuff like that, where they'll say, oh, well, it's the game companies need to take more chances and stuff. And it's like, I've worked in this industry for about 14, 15, 16 years. And, as I've said before, Sony's the company. They greenlit Flower. They greenlit Eco and Shadow. Trust me. They greenlit a game I was working on called Heartland, which was supposed to be this real emotional, sort of more mature game. And it's not that there are companies out there that aren't interested. I think anybody who, would love to publish a game that moves the needle and entertains more people. Why would they not? But a lot of it, I really think there's a fundamental schism between where your brain goes when you're taking in linear media and when you give someone a controller. Even when we're looking at your great game today, it's like you put me in front of that camera and I just want to play. And it doesn't mean that a Kinect game or a Move game or any other game couldn't sustain a story. But I think the very nature of giving someone control, you're stepping into more of a mindset of experiencing a simulation and wanting to with things and play with things and experience. And if you sit in front of a TV show, or a movie, you want to be taken on a journey. And I understand that there is potentially a hybrid. I don't know how much of it is the hybrid needs to keep evolving versus it's not a very good hybrid. I don't know where I don't know where it comes down for me.
And I don't even know if there's any systemic reason why. I like to throw the word systemic into when I'm talking because it sounds like I'm making a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's
Harvey Smith.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the reason why stuff like that hasn't happened. I think sometimes things are just waiting for some really crazy person to invent them. You know what I mean? Like there were different genres of games that didn't exist before. Like someone just came up with that stuff, and that's when we explore different like different feelings in games. Like there didn't used to be games where you tended, even like Tamagotchi, like you tended to we didn't have games you took care of something, and then all of a sudden there's a game where you take care of something, and there's a different kind of feeling you have when you play that game. And I think it's still exciting to work in games because every once in a while someone will just invent something still that just didn't exist before.
Well, there's more opportunity for that now. I guess back to what you were saying, like now that the distribution methods are different, we can have downloadable games for many different price points. There's a lot more opportunity for that to happen. A game doesn't have to be $50 or $60 that they are now. Do you want to ask the next question? Or if you guys see a question you want to answer?
Okay.
I want to hear you do it in the voice of the person who wrote it.
This is how Namzor sounds. My question is for Tim Schafer. Being one of the godfathers of the graphic adventure genre, how do you feel about the way the genre is progressing? Do you think it can see a resurgence in tablets?
That is one of the classic questions that people ask of me, and I feel like ever since if I say the wrong thing, I get tons of hate mail. So I'm probably just going to
say the right thing.
Yeah,
just say that's easy, right?
Don't mess it up. That's all.
It's funny because people talk about those games being more popular and then being less popular, but really it was more like they're as popular as they ever were. But just the games industry got so much bigger and expanded beyond where they were back when we were making those first games. Because we used to be so excited about selling more than 100,000 copies or something. We were like, oh my god, yes. Actually, I'm pretty excited about it. But I think we used to say there were things that those games did that no other games did because we had story and characters and atmosphere, and little by little, the games have come to have all those things like narrative and really strong characters and atmosphere, and there's some things that have remained, I think, special about those games. The pacing of them, the mental state you get into when you're stuck on a puzzle. There's nowadays when you make a game, you get focus tested, and if anyone ever gets stuck, it's like you have to put a tutorial pop up in or something like that. You're not allowed to like have the player be confused or stuck for any length of time, or
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind of
gone,
considered a
isn't
focus.
it?
When you say
We
you're
used
not
to call it
allowed,
entertainment, but I don't.
when you say you're not allowed, like who is saying that you're not allowed? Is it just that's the
Well, like we first did the Black Velvet level in Psychonauts. There's this level you run around, you have these magic paintings, you hang up, and a picture of a guitar becomes a real guitar. It grows into a real guitar, and then you climb it like a ladder. And it's like this puzzle thing. And it came back from the first focus test, and they're like, well, people had trouble with the paintings. And we're like, oh, no one ever figured it out? And they're like, oh, they figured it out, but there was a period where they didn't know what to do, and they tried different things, and then they eventually figured it out. And I was like, I feel really old right now because that's what we used to call gameplay. It was a puzzle. An adventure game, that was acceptable to confusion, and then a solution, and that aha moment was. But nowadays, you have to be like, even if you walk into a room and I love Uncharted, but you walk into a room in Uncharted and you're like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to get up here. And then all of a sudden there'll be this message that will say, walk up the beam on the right. And you're like, I was about to, okay, I totally was about to do that.
Or it starts like the little light, like a little glint, like starts shining, and you're like, I guess I'm supposed to go over there. Okay, got it.
or you get that voiceover where, I wonder if that beam on the right would hold me.
But then I've changed too. I feel myself when I'm playing games getting kind of impatient when I can't figure out what to do. I start to feel like I'm now in that mode where I kind of feel like I should be making a lot of substantial progress in a game every session that I sit down to play it. And like I was playing Zork, I'd be in the same dam, like trying to figure out what to do with a toothbrush for like a day. I might go downstairs, talk to my dad. What do you think I should do? I was okay to
stick it up your ass. What's right? I was channeling your dad. That's right. But he always said to me, that's what he always said to me.
Go play in the sunshine.
That's right. So keep going. I'm genuinely engaged.
Rambling.
No. I'm curious.
Did I?
As in that because as you find yourself no longer.
I wonder if I would. It's a totally different mental space to be in where it's okay to be stuck. And I think so. That's part of some ways just the challenge of making a good game is that there's good confusion and there's bad confusion. There's like I don't know where the hell to go or why I'm doing it. That's bad. But there's like I should be able to figure this out, and the game feels like it's winking at you, kind of going, "You're almost there. You're almost about to figure it out. Come on, just try a little more."
Well, I think Portal 2 is an excellent example of a game that very clearly gives you all the tools that you need to figure something out, and then lets you take as much time as you need to actually figure something out. I mean, that's a great example. It's not like the old games where you're like, oh, I guess I was supposed to pick up this crest that was behind the fence.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like a thing in Myst where I couldn't find the thing apparently it was behind the fence and I couldn't find it. But so there are, I think, ways to kind of do it in a modern way. And I think Portal 2 is a great example of a modern version of figuring out a puzzle and really being challenged by it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also really fascinating just the fragmentation of the audience and what their demands and likes are. Because with games, I mean, movies and TV are the same, I guess, but it almost seems like you can really explode the different kinds of players that there are more in games than you can people who like linear media. Because I agree, I like games where you get stuck for a while and you figure it out. Some people don't. Some people have the kind of click loop compulsion of a game like Diablo. Some people don't. And it's like, it's not just genre anymore of, I like adventure games or I like shooters. Even within those, there are these sub genres. And it's kind of scary from a finance standpoint because on the good side, you have this really passionate audience that you speak directly to. And on the negative side, it's like, how can you afford to make, because games are really expensive. So you're saying that today adventure games that are coming out are still roughly selling the same amount, but I have to imagine the budgets on making those are at least a little
probably
bit
the
higher.
same amount too.
Do you think so?
Well, back then the budgets were like $100,000.
Right. So I mean, you could get a whole staff to create that for 18 months for $100,000.
And you have to make it in Germany.
Okay. Right. Well, yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Okay. What's a question that you get asked all the time? Like, what's your most asked question?
Honestly, the one I get asked a lot is probably because I like to interface with game fans a lot because I consider myself one as, hey, how do I get into the industry? So I hear that a lot, or how can I make games?
What do you tell them?
I tell them that
Don't do it, son.
Get out while you still can.
Go
Yeah.
into accounting.
no. I tell them two things. I tell them that it's a great time because. Like you were saying, there's whether you're talking about just putting up an app on the App Store or going like the indie channel on Xbox, or there's just and even if you're not a programmer, there's stuff like Game Salad. I mean, there's so many ways to express yourself interactively and to get those into the hands of people and then distribute them through the internet and connect with people who like what you do. And if you really want to get into making the AAA, quadruple A games, that's a great in. Or if you want to kind of be someone who's kind of, it's not your day job, but it's you have total control over your destiny. You can still create and generate if you're smart with your budget and picking concepts. You can still at least hopefully make your money back and generate a lot of happy people who like your games. So it's funny. It's like even when I started as a tester, it was a pretty easy. It's an easy world to get in. It's not always an easy world in which to excel or to do exactly what you want, but I find that it's much more welcoming than. Like people will come and say, "Oh, I love games. I'm this and that." Say, "All right, well, maybe come intern or whatever." It's a lot more, I think, inclusive and welcoming than maybe the film business or the TV business. I don't know if you were
Or gangs.
or gang. Well, those are after the beatdown, they love you. They
Exactly.
treat you great. But
What's
you
your
have to
killer
put up
guy?
with that. Yeah.
It's funny because I used to have in different periods different advice because it used to be well, you can intern somewhere and then it was you can just make a game and now I just see a whole generation of indie game developers who just never joined. Like it used to be, it seemed like a club that you had to figure out a way in so you could make the thing. Now they're not even trying to get in the club; they're just doing it. They're just making a game, and they're making tons of money. Even like they're just, two people. Well, we just funded it ourselves, and now we have $10 million. And I'm like,
And
tell
good
me.
for them.
I asked them for advice. I'm like, how did you do that exactly?
I toy with self-funding. I really do. Every time I finish a game, I'm like, I'd like to take 6 months or 8 months off and just go make some. Not that Sony has always been great and the team at Eastleigh Play has always been great about freedom and stuff, but I've always thought that would just be really scary, but also really fun to sort of take your own money and own it all and see where it takes you, But so far, I haven't had the guts to pull the trigger yet. So
Well, you have kids, which probably makes it harder.
it does, yes, it does.
Yeah, so
scary.
that's the hard thing about self-funding is the funding. The ultimate would be self-funding with someone else's money.
Yeah, I love that part.
Okay, I have a fun fact, trivia fact.
Okay, let's hear it.
So after I used to work at LucasArts years, and then I left and started my own company. The first game idea I had, guess who the first person was I pitched it to? Do you know?
Ron Gilbert?
Do you know?
I
Dave
do.
Jaffe?
I do know.
Who was it, Dave Jaffe?
It was me.
It was Dave Jaffe.
Wow.
He was, what was your title then at Sony? Dave Jaffe?
All I remember is it was the E3 where I remember we went up and sat up in the Sony booth, and it was the E3 where we all thought Sega Dreamcast was going to kick our asses because they had Ooh La La and they had all that. That was their big push to be number one. And thank God for people who worked at Sony like myself, it didn't go anywhere. But that
Space
was
Channel 5 was
we were
good.
like, holy cow! But I guess at that time, I think I was like I don't know, some creative director of some studio.
And I just called up, it was my Sony contact. I was like, I'm going to tell you about this game, Psychonauts. And
well, what did I say? I remember loving the concept, right?
Yeah. But you're smart. You're like, well, you've never made one of these games before. Maybe why don't you make a test level and send it to me, and we'll see.
All right. Now, what did I say? I remember we had another pitch though, right?
Do we have another pitch?
It's CAA for Brutal Legend.
Oh, geez.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah.
That was in Sony Santa Monica.
Sony Santa Monica, yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. I didn't want to say what you said then.
Okay.
You said, get the out of my office. No.
I was at CAA. I was with you guys.
Really?
Yeah, I came out with Larry, and I think it was Ophir was there at the time. I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was great. I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
You're like, I don't know about these RTS
I did
elements.
say that, but I love the game.
That was my favorite part.
But the
when
game, the
when I-
world in the
Thank you,
game, I
Morgan.
think is.
I
brilliant.
made that for you.
When I first saw it, I was like, you made an RTS just for me. And you're like, no, I made a game with an action game with strategy elements. And I'm like, it's an RTS. I know what it is. It's okay. You don't have to lie to me.
There's my fun fact for the day.
I like it.
That's why you set this whole show up. To
It is.
tie this all back together.
So Tim can shoot me in the head.
And so I can now pitch my new game to Dave Jaffe.
Begin, please. Pitch my game to you.
I put. See, he's so humble.
Yeah.
Do you have any fun facts?
About what? Timmy
Just anything?
Schafer?
Just to
Little
top
Timmy
that.
Schafer?
Just to top that fun fact.
Fun facts.
Yes. About Timmy Schafer, which is now what we're going to call him from.
What did I do to deserve that?
No, it's little Timmy Schafer.
Little
what
Timmy
I still
Schafer.
called that in my hometown.
Yeah. Fun fact. I don't know. I not that I pitched. I mean,
We don't have to put you on the spot. We can answer Infinity Man's
Some
question.
I come up with. I
Okay.
got nothing. Tim's
right.
got all the
Okay,
good writing abilities.
Voice questions in the voice.
This is a question from Infinity Man. Being successful video game developers, what kind of influence has board game and pen and paper RPGs had on you?
That doesn't sound like Nell Carter at all.
That's Infinity Man.
It's the worst Nell Carter
I
I've
am
ever heard.
Infinity Man. The man of
Now
infinity.
you sound like that Old Spice guy.
I would think more
yeah.
Echo. Infinity, man.
I don't.
there you
One
go.
of these buttons does echo, but I'm not going to touch anything.
That's what you get for trying to entertain us.
Sorry.
Slap down.
Sorry, everybody.
That was really good.
Apologize.
Thanks,
man.
Hey, by the way, I thought you were great in Sideways. Just let you know. What?
Because the commenters tell me that all the time.
No, it was
But this is
You
the
think
first
he looks
time
like that
a
girl from
guest has
Grey's
told me
Anatomy?
that is so good.
Yeah, you do.
Dude, don't even
I
take.
didn't see
Hey,
it.
I get Rick Moranis. Okay, so you, my friend, are
I think Paul Giamatti looks cool, so I
I
don't
didn't
care,
say you
know,
didn't,
like-
but a lot of people, the only time Paul Giamatti didn't look cool was when he was in Private Parts with Howard Stern. That
You're
was the
right.
first
Yeah,
time I
that
saw
was
him.
bad.
But no, yes, I get Rick Moranis, so you are a lucky man.
Okay, so do you guys play pen and paper board games
Wait,
or
that question?
pen and paper?
I'm avoiding that question because I'm kind of intimidated by those games. And designing the mechanics for those games, I think takes a very special kind of brain.
But you don't find any similarities to to developing a game in the
I mean, yeah. But I've never tried to design a board game.
yeah.
I guess I feel like that's like, it's challenge. It's hard. Have you ever designed a board game? Paper game?
Not like in any meaningful way. I mean,
I'm like,
when I
how
was
do I
a
make
kid,
the paper? How do I make this do a cutscene?
He's right.
Make
Paper
puppets
cutscene.
out of it, or how do I do an intro to the board game?
I mean, I will say that mechanics is it's every year I'm in the industry and every year I do this job, I fall more and more in love with the quote from Sid Meier where he says games are a series of interesting choices, because that is proven time and time and time again. And whenever I go off course with that and the team goes off course with that, you up, and so I think if you look at a board, I mean, I've said before that like Uno was instrumental in designing Twisted Metal 2 in terms of sort of studying risk reward gameplay and studying saving resources until the right moment, and how great that felt in your brain when you played the right cards at the right time. And it's like that's why I'm always like, there's so much surface and presentation that gets in the way of gameplay, and I know a lot of people spend, and I appreciate it, and I'm part of that course as well, but sort of trumpeting that part of games. But really what makes a great compelling game, whether it's a card game or a board game or a video game, is how engaged your brain is. And I think absolutely you can look at board games, and I was never a pen and paper guy. I didn't understand that the rule sets were too complicated for me as a kid, but certainly board games and card games, absolutely those are great tools to take inspiration from. Yeah.
Are there any games that you play? Any board games that you like to play?
Yeah, well, these days, it's tough because I'll play things like Labyrinth and I'll play Payday with my kids, and we'll play the one we play a lot is called Doodle Dice and stuff. So, but
Sounds adorable.
It's a fantastic game though. It's fantastic, but I'll definitely I try to turn them on to games that get out of sort of just pure luck and bring in a little bit of skill, so they can start to kind of go, oh, if I think 5 steps ahead,
And because you can beat them at them. The
I
luck
always,
games, they beat
I
you.
never let them win. I don't. I tell them it's like, when you beat me, it's because you earned the right,
Like in Kung Fu.
No, I just want them. I don't want them to ever,
When you beat me at this game, that's when I leave this house. And you live here alone, smart aleck.
There you go.
Do you play any board games or?
I mean, board
Card
games. My
games,
daughter's
like-
so young. I was trying to figure that out the other day. Like, what will be the first board game? Like, is it Shoots and
Candyland.
Ladders?
Yeah,
Like the
Shoots and Ladders,
Candyland.
Candyland,
Like,
yeah.
and how old do you have to be before you play that? Yeah.
3, 4.
Old enough to not chew on the pieces, probably.
Exactly. And I planned that out, but I haven't really started actually playing games. I say that before that, what was the last board game I played? It was a little Apples to Apples. It's very
Oh, yeah,
popular.
yeah,
in
yeah.
the,
Uh-huh.
Ski Lodge set.
Do you let your daughter play games besides the one you made now?
She came in the room and I was playing. She woke up and came out of her room and I was finishing up like one of the final bosses in Enslaved, like Enslaved, and I was like, "Oh, this is really violent. I should turn it off, but I can't. This is a really important part. She just has to watch it." And so, and she was like, "What are you doing?" She was like, she started doing fighting gestures in the room. She wanted to beat up the robot. And then she was asked me to play that game so she could see me beat up robots and stuff like
that's
that.
cool.
And so, she likes it, and hopefully, through the Happy Action Theater, we'll trick her into becoming a gamer.
Good. Good.
She likes watching me play Zelda too.
Yep.
And was she too young for the Sesame Street game?
She loved. I mean, she loves Elmo, and she loved jumping up and playing it with me. But she'd always want to grab my leg, which throws the Kinect controller off a little bit. You're not supposed to grab each other.
No.
Yeah.
No touching in Kinect.
My kids are at that age where they're old enough that they've kind of outgrown things like Sesame Street and Dora, and so. If literally, I kid you not, my oldest, she's now outgrown this phase, but she's 8 now. When she was like 6.5 and 7, she's like, I want to kill Dora. I want to kill Dora.
Wow.
She didn't say, but she,
That's all she did for her. Taught her Spanish, problem solving,
like,
map
she don't
navigation.
Have a green card. I'm going to kill.
Backpack use.
But yeah, and anyway, point being is, it's like, yeah, if you guys would have had like a cheat in Sesame Street where it was like you could take Elmo out, my kids would have been super thrilled. But they used to love Elmo. But I think that's a normal thing, though, right? Where you grow out of it, and it's like, oh, that's for babies and stuff.
Cookie Monster.
I don't either. I love Elmo. I want to see that documentary about the guy who does Elmo, the puppet. You know,
being Elmo. Kevin Clash.
This looks great.
Yeah, we got
A
to
fun
work with
fact about myself: I was on Jimmy Fallon with Elmo
Really?
Whoa.
and Ice-T.
Oh, I saw that.
And Ice-T.
Did you?
Me, Elmo, and Ice-T.
Wow. Nice.
It was an interesting.
So was the guy like behind
He
the
was-
chair?
That sounds like a
and-
Final Fantasy party or something like that. Sounds like Morgan.
So there was a
Elmo.
couch, and then so he had a microphone taped to his head.
Yes.
And he laid down behind the couch.
Iced-T?
No. The Elmo guy. So he laid down behind the couch.
The Elmo guy.
And what's amazing is he's very, very quick-witted. Like he's very smart and very funny.
Well, that's working with Sesame and Henson people.
Yeah.
They're improv comics. They're all used to just improvising, and they're really, really funny. It's like Saturday Night Live for kids. Sesame
So did
Street,
your
you know?
daughter get to go on the set of Sesame Street?
Not on the street, because
Right.
to go there, it's like every time they turn on the lights, it's like thousands of dollars. But we got to, we shot an intro and outro for the game.
Yeah, I
with
saw that.
Elmo and Cookie, and
Was she there for that?
Yeah, she was there for
she
that.
must have gone
and they're like,
crazy.
he's too busy to come back and meet you. He's got to go. He had to go to like the White House that night to go for the Easter egg hunt. But then we hear this voice of Elmo going, "Where's Lily? Where's Lily?" And he came in the room, and there was 2 little girls, and they just freaked out, and Lily was just like, and it's just magic for them. They just looked at the puppet. They never looked at the guy though. They never looked at Kevin. They just had no concept there was a person standing there. So
That's
it was
amazing.
amazing.
And
You
I
guys
like
should
that
get a
trailer
puppet
you
on
did with
X-Play.
Cookie Monster. We had a puppet named Ratty Puppet.
And was he a regular?
Ratty puppet.
He was.
And what happened?
We used him a lot, and we kind of got a little sick of him. Also,
Okay.
he ended up in a bunch of like raw hamburger meat, and he started to smell really
happens.
bad.
It happens.
Did you put him down?
No, I think he's in Wade's bottom drawer. Actually, he's
I think he's
a
in Wade's
replica
bottom.
because the original one was actually like the childhood toy of our old producer's wife, and when he left the show, she wanted it back, and we're like, here you go.
That's when it smelled like hamburger meat?
No, that one had been like dropped off buildings, and many things had happened to it. It was named Ratty Puppet for a
Ratty
reason.
puppet. Well, I'm
Yes.
sad I missed it.
Yes.
Now you just have Adam.
it lives on the internet.
Oh, good. Okay.
Do you want to ask one more question?
Sure.
But you guys have to answer quickly.
And you have to do it in Paul Giamatti's voice.
I'm gonna ask
Drink
this
any
question.
Say that.
Wait, what was that again?
Nothing.
Okay. If you guys had the opportunity to work on any franchise gaming, on any existing gaming franchise, aside from what you're already working upon, what would it be?
It was nicely
Is
done,
it
my friend.
Jersey Shore? Who is that? What character was that?
I have no idea.
Tim?
That's hard. Working with other people's ideas is really, really tough. But maybe I'm overthinking this question.
I think you're probably over. I think it's like, what franchise do you enjoy, and would you like participating in?
I really love Animal Crossing, and when I was playing it, I was like,
too!
I want to make an Animal Crossing game. I want to make a little town full of little people that you talk to and do chores for. I don't know.
And the
why,
whole
it's
time,
just-
it's like the soundtrack of
Because
the
I
game
can
is
write that
hilarious.
dialogue. Yeah, I love Animal Crossing.
Yep. Good sir.
I don't know. I mean, I'd love to do something with the Marvel characters. I'd love to do kind of like a Kingdom Hearts with Marvel, basically, and sort of do just a big epic kind of video game RPG, action RPG with all the Marvel.
I think you just signed a game just now.
I know.
I think I heard money just now falling from somewhere.
Love to do that. Love to do that.
Someone just got rich.
Or Metal Gear.
Or Metal Gear. All right. Thank you guys very much for being here. We appreciate it. New episodes of Feedback happen every Wednesday. They go up on the internet. We don't have a time because, we're commitment phobes. So just check on Wednesdays. Thanks.